Welcome. This is Constance Chapman, and I want to welcome you to the first of a series that I'm going to be doing um, that are based on intuitive painting, based on oracle cards. So, well, I'd love to have you like and subscribe, and then you'll know whenever the next one comes out. So this one is based on a card deck that I have called Goddesses, Gods, and Guardians by Sophie Bashford. And this morning I sat down and I drew a card, and I got the card of Leah, the water goddess, Australian water goddess. And the saying is stand up for yourself. So Leah was a goddess in Australia, and one day she looked down, she saw the women in the village were just thirsty and they were parched because the men had decided that they were the only ones that could bring water into the village, and they'd all left and left the women without water. And so Leah just said, enough is enough. And she took her digging stick and she started digging in the earth, and it wasn't long until she hit an underground spring. And so this beautiful, beautiful clear water started pouring out of the earth right into the village. And so the women not only had water, they had a river. And so what she said to the women was, you need to stand up for yourself. And so they did. They got together and they decided that they'd haven't had enough of this nonsense of the men deciding what and who they were, what they could do, and leaving them in such a dire strait. So they decided to create their own community, that they were going to be better off with themselves and by themselves than with the men. So that's what they did. They formed their own community, and they allowed the men to come in on the women's terms, not on the men's terms. So when I started this, I started out with putting stakes in the ground, because there have been several times in my life when I've just said enough is enough, and I've put a stake in the ground and said things are going to change. I don't care what I have to do. So that's why I have all those bold strokes just going up and down, because that is the energy for me of the stake going right in the ground and staying there. Um, and it's such a great energy to do. And when I started this, I thought I was going to use a smaller canvas, but I realized that with the stake in the ground energy, I really needed a bigger canvas. So this one's a 24 by 36-inch canvas. Um, so you'll see in a minute that I shift and start using a different kind of stroke, which I'm doing right now. It's a shorter stroke. And that to me was just, my brush wanted to do that. So that's part of this intuitive painting, is just allowing your brush to do what it wants and following. And the patting, I like doing that. Sometimes my brush just says, nope, time to do that. And in some way, I could metaphorically see that that is the women, after the water has shown up, going, enough is enough. We're going to get together and take care of ourselves. And the men can be visitors instead of the rulers. Um, and what I do know as a woman, and is that standing up for myself hasn't always been easy. It's something I've had to learn to do, and sometimes I've had to experience a lot of pain before I'm willing to do it. And I don't know if that's the case for you or not, but certainly one of the times I put a stake in the ground was when I decided that I was going to take myself seriously as an artist. Because I've been doing it for many years, but I just wouldn't take myself seriously. And that came from some childhood stuff. And so that was my stake in the ground, saying, no, I'm going to do this. I may not be able to go to art school. I may not to be able to do some of the things that if I'd had that stake in the ground when I was a lot younger, if I'd had the sense to do that, not the sense, but the strength, that my life would have been different. And my life has been great just the way it is. So I don't. Uh, I'm not. Uh, I'm not necessarily upset, but I do know that now the stake is in the ground. And so I encourage you to think about where you want to put a stake in the ground. Um, and and I know it's not always easy because it's so much easier sometimes to just say it's uh, it's safe, it's convenient, it's how am I going to do this? I don't know how I'm going to do that if I change things. And it's true, we don't always know. But that's where faith and trust comes in. Is that for the most part the universe has always supported us, and it always has actually if you just think about it. And right now I'm sort of drumming on the canvas. To my mind, that's women getting together and going, nope, that's it. We're gonna have a party, and we're gonna have our own community. And then the other part of this story that's really important is the water, because without the water they couldn't survive. So I put on a, a, a stroke of blue on here as symbolizing the water. Um, and one of the things that I found out was that not everything that I painted um, got recorded. And this is one of my frustrations, is that I've often found this, that I think I've got something recorded and my camera's gone off because I use my iPhone, and I'm not able to see what it's doing while I'm painting. Um, so please, if you haven't hit like and subscribe, please do that, because the more that you do that, the more people that subscribe, the more people that hit like, the more this video will get seen. Um, and it will help me be able to get a different system, a different setup, so that I don't lose some of this painting. So at the end, you'll see the what you're seeing now, which is exactly what you didn't get to see recorded, which is I added a darker blue. I let some of the water run, um, and so thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again.